Continue with our series looking at Lost and Found. If I can just have that first slide up, that would be brilliant. And as you came in today and found your seat, if your seat was slightly uncomfortable and you had a stabbing sensation, it's probably because you sat on this or one of these. You will need this throughout the sermon, and you get to keep this when you go home. I know. Am I good to you or what? Yeah, what? So you get a free gift, but this is it's a practical illustration that hopefully will work. And it doesn't work, yeah. Otherwise, it doesn't work on iPhones, I'm sorry. What can you do? This is what we call old technology. Old tech, okay. But we're inclusive, so that works for us. This morning we're going to look at the idea of opening our eyes and starting to see things from God's perspective rather from ours. You know, sometimes when we go through life, it can be very, very difficult to see things from His perspective and not just ours. Sometimes I miss the obvious. I am quite dense, really. If you think you've told me something in code, the chances are I've misunderstood the code because A, I'm a bloke, and B, I'm a well, I wouldn't say stupid bloke, but sometimes a bit slow on the uptake. So, you know, when you give me the wink and the nudge and you think you've communicated a message to me, I really haven't understood. Just take it, I haven't understood. I need it written down. I need it in black and white. I need to be told 3 times. And then just maybe I might actually get the message. And and you can see that in the way I preach, because I preach as I'm preaching to me. And so I write things down, and I say it 3 times, and we go through. So sometimes I miss the obvious. Sometimes I don't see everything that's right in front of my nose. Back in January, I think it was, of this year, we have a theological term in our house now called pre-fall and post-fall. And this was pre-fall for you theologians. And Sam, Barbie and I decided that we would go out and we would enjoy the sumptuous delights of Nando's. For Nando's peri-peri chicken, and particularly their chicken livers, I like their chicken livers, what can I say? They're good. So as we're going to Nando's, Sam and I are in the car and we're talking about the various things on the menu, and we're making salivating man noises that if you've got boys you might understand some of that, and Barbie's just sitting there very patiently listening to all the pre-dinner burping that goes on in our car. And so we were there and we're getting really excited about going to Nando's, and when we arrived at Nando's just around the corner in Chelmsford there, we discovered it was closed. Yeah, I know. It was closed. And it shouldn't be closed. It's like midweek, what's going on here? And a member of staff said to us, actually, we're closed because we have a regional team event, and it's hosted here this year, and we're closed. And we thought, what should we do? So we deigned to go next door to a restaurant, I think it's called Zizi's, an Italian restaurant. And in there we went. Well, I mean, it was heavingly packed. I mean, you just couldn't move in the place because Nando's was closed. Everyone that had tried to go to Nando's had now gone next door and thought, well, we'll have an Italian. So we're kind of shown upstairs, and we get ushered into to a table, and the waitress does all her thing, and it was a great evening. We chatted, we laughed, we compared Facebook statuses, as you do, the modern family. We do all that kind of thing together and all the rest of it, and we commented how busy it was, and that was basically it. At the end of the meal, the waitress came along and she presented me with the bill, and I start to pay, the little card thing, and she says, I'm really sorry about all the autograph hunters that probably disturbed your meal. I said, autograph hunters? Why would they be hunting autographs? Why didn't I ask mine? What was going on? And she said, well, at the next table sat this man, which hasn't clicked over. So there goes the big reveal. I'll try that again. Sat this man. No, just click it over for me. It might wake it up. Ollie Murs. I know. Oh. And when I saw where he was sitting, if I had stretched out my hand, I could have clipped him around the ear or stroked him lovingly on the back. And she said, yeah, Ollie Murs and then his manager was sitting next to you at the very next table, and all these teenage girls that kept crowding around, they're getting his autograph. And I thought, wow, and we didn't even notice. And I bet Ollie didn't go out saying, do you know, I sat at the next table to Keith Jackson today. Yeah, just made my life. We just didn't have a clue. Probably the most famous Chelmsford boy was there in the restaurant next to us, And we didn't even have a clue. And how often is it that we sort of just go through life and we get so focused on what is just in front of us, what's ahead of us, that actually we miss what's going on around us, and we need a fresher perspective to be able to pick that up. If you want to turn with me to 2 Kings chapter 6, we're going to look at an account here about someone whose eyes needed opening and what happened. And we're going to look at 4 things this morning about discovering our eyes. In fact, we'll move Ollie off. And Ollie's still not moving for me, so he will. Yeah, okay. Somebody, you've got your car on the path. So we're going to name you and shame you now. LF06FTA, you're parked illegally. Can you please move your car? Bless you. We love you. The neighbors love you as well. In all seriousness, we do have a problem with this. I know it's difficult when we're here late and everything, but can I encourage you just come a little bit earlier and park somewhere? Last week, we actually had a disabled car. You know, those little scooters had to go in the road to get around our cars because we were on the pavements. We're not allowed to park on pavements. That is illegal. So it helps with our community relations if I don't spend all day Monday trying to sort out neighbors who are upset with us. But anyway, so let's turn to 2 Kings chapter 6, and let's go for this from verse 8. Now the king of Aram was at war with Israel. After conferring with his officials, he said, I will set up my camp in such and such a place. But the man of God sent word to the king of Israel, beware of passing that place, because the Arameans are going down there. So the king of Israel checked on the place indicated by the man of God. Time and again, Elisha warned the king so that he was on his guard in such places. This enraged the king of Aram. He summoned his officers and demanded of them, will you not tell me which of us is on the side of the king of Israel? None of us, my lord, the king, said one of his officers. But Elisha, the prophet who's in Israel, tells the king of Israel the very words you speak in your bedroom. Now fancy that. There's an image. Verse 13, go find out where he is, the king orders, so I can send men and capture him. The report came back, he's in Dothan. Then he sent horses and chariots and a strong force there. They went by night and surrounded the city. When the servant of the man of God got up and went out early the next morning, an army with horses and chariots gathered around the city. Oh, my lord, what shall we do? The servant asked. Don't be afraid, the prophet answered. Those who are with us are more than those who are with them. And Elisha prayed, O Lord, open his eyes so that he may see. Then the Lord opened the servant's eyes. He looked and saw the hills full of horses and chariots of fire all around Elisha. As the enemy came down towards him, Elisha prayed to the Lord, strike these people with blindness. So he struck them in blindness, as Elisha had asked. And then Elisha told them, this is not the road and this is not the city. Follow me and I'll lead you to the man you're looking for. And he led them to Samaria. After they entered the city, Elisha said, Lord, open the eyes of these men so they can see. Then the Lord opened their eyes and they looked. And there they were inside Samaria. When the king of Israel saw them, he asked Elijah, shall I kill them, my father? Shall I kill them? Do not kill them, he answered. Would you kill men you have captured with your own sword and bow? Set food and water before them so that they may eat and drink and go back to their master. So he prepared a great feast for them, and after they had finished eating and drinking, he sent them away and they returned to their master. So the bands from Aram stopped raiding Israel's territory. What is going on here? We begin to discover that a supernatural intervention is happening every time the king of Aram wants to invade and Israel. In fact, there is an alliance between Israel at this time and Aram. And Ben-Hadad, the king of Aram, is ignoring that. Even though Israel is being led by an unrighteous king at this time, an ungodly king, God deems to intervene and keeps showing Elisha the battle plans. And so this gets to a point where it's annoying him, and they say, well, what's going on? Why is this happening? Who of you is telling my secrets? It's not us. It's this prophet Elisha. It's him. In fact, he even tells the king what you're saying in your very bedroom, in your very private quarters. Nothing is secret from him. So he sends out this raiding party, and he decides he's going to capture and kill Elisha. And it becomes so frequent that it almost became normative. The supernatural had become the normal for Israel at that time because they couldn't be thwarted by these raiding parties from Aram. It occurs to me, though, that if God is able to warn Elisha about the nation and what's going on in the nation, why doesn't God warn Elisha that they're coming after him now? And sometimes in our life and our experience, we will talk about the nation, we'll talk about our city, we'll talk about the needs out there, and we see impact and we see influence and we see change happening. We'll talk about even the corporate body of the church, and we'll talk about change that's occurring in this place and the life of our church. And then something comes along and takes us as an individual unexpectedly. You ever notice that? Life just falls apart. Everyone else seems happy. Everyone else seems to have the solution. And you think, well, if God can do it for them, and even if sometimes I can have words of knowledge and words of prophecy and words of wisdom and all these kind of things for other people, why is it that I'm blind in the midst of my situation? Well, that's what we're going to discover this morning. We're going to talk a little bit about opening our eyes.